Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I'll be your host this afternoon, Ed Montana. Alongside me today, my brother from the same mother, my brother Alex. Alex, how you doing?
What's up, Grandpa? Everything's good, man. Just chilling. I decided to sit on the couch today on a sofa chair. So I am absolutely chilling. If I fall asleep, it's not because Ed is boring me, it's because I am just comfortable.
Yeah, you do look comfortable. I like that. I like that chair. I recognize it from mom and dad's house, so I know it's a hand-me-down, but sometimes those are the best chairs. They're already broken in and stuff, right?
Let me tell you, parents know how to take care of their things. So these sofa chairs must be 15 years old. I mean, they are in great condition. They're still comfortable. Yes, they are broken in, so that makes it even more comfortable. um Actually, before we move forward, because I don't know if this person may listen to our podcast. I don't know for how long they listen to our podcast. So just in case they don't go more than 2 minutes listening to us, I think it's only right that you and I wish our mother a happy birthday today.
That's right. Happy birthday, Mom. I wish her a happy birthday bright and early this morning, right? And so I
Okay.
showed up. I went over there. I've been running around all for the last week, and we'll talk about that later. But so I went over there for breakfast. And you know how it is at our house, right? Anytime we do anything, we always have a little toast, right? We fucking had a toast for my mom's birthday this morning with a cup of coffee. How stupid is that? A cup of coffee. So it was my son, myself, mom, and dad, and I made breakfast, right? And we would have invited you, but we decided not to. And so we had coffee and orange juice, but we had already poured coffee, right? Not the orange juice. And so there we are toasting happy birthday to mom with coffee. How freaking ridiculous was that? But you know what? It's what we do. And it was a pleasure to be there with mom to celebrate her birthday, even if it was in a very simple way with, just a simple breakfast and a cup of coffee.
Hey, man, I think the toasting with a cup of coffee in our family is probably what it's like to toast for New Year's Eve with champagne.
Right.
I
For
mean,
for the
coffee's like
alcoholic, it's the same thing, right?
exactly.
Because
I,
we're
I
coffee.
on the other hand, wasn't I was planning on going. I wasn't planning on going. I was kind of in between. And then when I found out that you went, I was like, oh no, I gotta go now. I gotta go now. I mean, I gotta go. I can't let him get all the brownie points on me. So yeah, I ended up going, and I already left the house, and I called her. And I'm like, hey, I'm on my way. Are you home? And if she would have said no, then I just would have turned my ass back around. And she
Yeah.
was like, well, we were just about to go grab some McDonald's and have lunch. And I'm like, shit, perfect. Let me grab the McDonald's for you. You don't have to get out the house. We have lunch together. So we went over there and had a little lunch with mom and dad. So, she's happy as can be as long as she can see us, I think. And,
Yeah.
that's great. So happy birthday to mom, many more. And yeah, it's an awesome day.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from your story is that I won the day, right? I'm the better son because A, I was first, which story of my life, right? And two, I made her breakfast. You picked her up some greasy fucking McDonald's. You're trying to kill her.
Well, in all fairness, she was going to pick up McDonald's anyway. I just saved her some gas and money.
Yeah, you saved her some gas in her car and gave her gas in her body. Nice going.
Well, you know how the saying goes, save the best for last. So I was last. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I win. I win. I'm not surprised.
You know what? We both win because we have an awesome mother.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. She was so happy to see us this morning.
Yeah.
We've been running around. It's been a crazy week. This is my first episode of the podcast as a grandfather. So last week, we were running around. We went out to San Antonio where my daughter lives, and obviously, she's pregnant. She's been in the hospital. So we've been gone all weekend. It's been really kind of crazy. But I have a very, very beautiful granddaughter I'm very excited about. She was born Thursday the 23rd at like 11:30 at night, something like that. And luckily, we got to see her. She got out of the hospital on Saturday. And we spent Saturday and all day Saturday and Sunday with her. And before I came home. And so, it's my first episode as a grandfather. So all those jokes about being damn near 50, now it's like, it doesn't matter, right? Because now I'm a grandpa. So damn near 50 doesn't sound that old. It's just now it's not like I'm almost old. Now I just am, right? I mean, I may as well be 50, 60, 70. What difference does it make?
That's right. Well, that's awesome, bro. Congrats. I mean,
Yeah.
you already got the white hair going. You already looked the part.
I mean, I looked the part. Yeah, I was going to say, I looked the part. Hey, you know what's funny, right? Us guys get a bad rep, right? I've always, not always, but I've gotten a bad rep. Like, I didn't change a whole lot of diapers, right? My wife was home. I worked. So, of course, she changed more diapers than I did. But, I changed my fair share. I don't brag about it, right? But, I changed a diaper or two, right? So, yesterday, my daughter knows that we're leaving in about an hour or half hour or whatever. And she just finished feeding the baby. And all of a sudden, the baby does what the baby does, right? Goes number 2. And she's like, hey, Daddy, you want to change a diaper before you leave? And I'm like, I'll change your diaper. No big deal, right? Like, ain't no thing. But, they all think that because I'm old and I'm the guy that didn't change a whole lot of diapers, all of a sudden they think I can't do it, right? You know how it is, bro. Once a superstar, always a superstar. Man, I changed that diaper in like 20 seconds. The kid didn't cry. I didn't get shit all over the place. I wiped down instead of up. I mean, I did everything I was supposed to do. Kid came out fucking sparkling new. She was happy as can be. So I still got it.
What they should have done was put a timer on you, to see how, kind of when, NASCAR or Formula One, they do the,
like
the
a pit stop.
stops. That's what they should have done to see how quick you're,
Honestly, I'd have beat all of them. I'd have beat my wife. I'd have beat my daughter. I'd have beat everybody because I'm telling you, I changed it quick. I didn't mess around, man. I got in there and all done, just like that.
All done.
It's funny that we have these things to talk about, right? We haven't had any sports to talk about for months, right? And now when sports finally kick off, we got other more important stuff to talk about, like family and babies and whatnot. It's funny how that works. But hey, this is a sports talk show, podcast, whatever the hell it is we do. Baseball finally kicked off. I am so freaking happy. I'm sitting here right now in the background. I have the Arizona-San Diego game on. I'm beyond happy. I've been watching baseball nonstop. How about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know me, man. I've been watching a bunch of baseball and, enjoying it so far. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be without the fans.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. You're a liar. You're a liar.
Okay.
You're a liar, and I'm gonna tell everyone on the show you're a liar. You said it was not going to be the same. Without the fans, it was going to be terrible. I'm probably not even going to watch it. That's what you said. You said that. Go back 5, 6, 10 episodes. You said that. You're a liar. And you know how I know you're a liar? Because on our text thread, I was getting play-by-play of the Phillies game and the Mets game from you. Jay wasn't even responding. Our cousin Jay didn't even – he was out living his life. You were glued to the TV. You were texting like immediately when something happened. You were texting some shit. So you watched it all. You lied. You said you weren't going to watch it.
Well, for the sake of this podcast, you would be the only one talking if I didn't watch any baseball. I need material to talk about today, so I was forced to watch.
Yeah, look, I think you should start off this baseball part by saying, Ed, you were right. You said that when the games came back on, I would watch it no matter what because I'm a baseball junkie. Say it. Say
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that because I got too much pride.
it.
Oh, I don't remember ever saying I'm not gonna watch it, but it was gonna feel. I believe you. I believe you. I got bad memory. I believe you. But you know, it's it was opening weekend, so we'll
I'll
see.
tell you what, man. I have no problem admitting that I am a complete and utter sports junkie, but probably more so with baseball. I mean, it's just when the Mets won the first game, what did I do? I texted you guys.
All right.
Tied for first with 59 to go, right? It's like because think about it, right? On July 24th of 2019, last year, if we'd have been tied for first with 59 to go, we'd have been pretty happy. We'd have been
Right.
like, we're in the race, right? So I'm just treating it like a normal season now. I'm just like, yes, we're in it. We're in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's different, obviously, but it's sports. Um,
I
you know,
love it.
the only thing, look, I love it too, but let's see how things progress here because you know, stuff is
Well,
not so clean inside those Phillies locker rooms. So
yeah, well,
let's see how things play out.
yeah, but it's interesting that you bring that up, right? So, what you're referring to is the situation with the Marlins, right, where they've had 11 positive cases pop up. I think it's nine players and two coaches. They've canceled the games for the Marlins and who were the
The
Marlins and the
Orioles.
Orioles, and then the Phillies Yankees got canceled because the Phillies played against the Marlins this weekend. So we are in a very unprecedented situation, right? But here's the thing. While I know it's dicey and we're kind of scared by it all, this is really not a big deal. If they manage to contain it, it's really no different than a couple of rainouts, right? It's possible. I'm sure that they are testing the hell out of the Marlins and they are testing the hell out of the Phillies, right? If more so the Phillies than the Marlins, I think if the Phillies are cleared today, they'll probably play tomorrow. So it's no different than a rainout. The Marlins, that situation is a little bit dicey, but again, they're probably doing the same thing. They're probably going to test the hell out of those guys, and they're going to say, okay, look, the roster's however many people it is. I don't remember the number, but let's say it's 30 people, right? They say, okay, 14 guys have it. You 14 guys basically go on the IL, right, for 10 days or 2 weeks, whatever it is. And now the Marlins are going to have to use that player pool that all the teams have, which is basically works like the minor league system. So while I know that it sounds bad and it makes everybody nervous and this, that, and the other thing, if you put it in perspective, it's really not much different than a couple of rainouts.
Yeah, the part that is a concern for me is if there is a bigger outbreak and I mean, look, no disrespect to the Marlins, okay? I mean, I couldn't tell you half of their roster. If other teams, bigger names, get result in positive tests, and then they're going to be out, and then it's just I'm just being very cautious and getting super excited about something that may not even finish, something that may not even play out all the way through. Like
Yeah.
I'll be more comfortable and more happy once the playoffs are here, the postseason, and because we're now we're a little closer. Teams are probably being a little more careful then. Maybe even towards the end of the regular season, teams are being more careful. I just don't want a situation where, look, that could have been the Yankees.
Right.
That could have been the Yankees, right? We're talking 10 players off the Yankees, right? And I don't want to see the Yankees without Judge, Stanton, Gleyber Torres, all those guys, Garrett Cole. I don't want that to happen because it's just not like nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that. So that's the part where I'm just a little, I'm excited, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, be,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
no,
be gushing over it.
I agree with you, Alex. But again, I caution people in kind of wanting to jump off a bridge about this. What are the Astros going to do? Verlander's hurt. What are they going to do? They're going to sit him down for 10 days. He's going to miss a couple of starts, and then he's going to come back. That's no different than what the Marlins are going to do with Urania. Urania is one of the guys that tested positive. He's a good pitcher. It's kind of the same thing, like I just don't think, unless we get a massive outbreak where a team has to forfeit games for an extended period of time. Like, so for example, if the Marlins had turned up 25 cases, right, where the entire roster went, they had to replace the entire roster with minor leaguers. And now for 2 weeks, they're going to play 14 games, let's say, with minor leaguers, and they're going to go, 1-13 because let's face it, they're minor leaguers. Okay, that's a problem, right? Especially for a team with higher aspirations like the Yankees, the Dodgers, et cetera, right? But if it's controlled like this, I think that it's not going to be a big deal. We're going to hear the stories, and I think that if we just substitute game canceled due to coronavirus outbreak, if we replace that with game canceled due to rain, we're going to see that it's very, very similar. I do applaud baseball. In that they went ahead and canceled the Phillies game as well. The chance of the Phillies having COVID, right, or having an outbreak is pretty small because, again, baseball is not like football or basketball where there's constant contact. There's minimal contact, right? If you take you take half of the pitching staff of the Phillies didn't even pitch over the weekend, right? So they were in the bullpen, far away from everybody, so it's a lot less likely, but baseball's doing the right thing in being overly cautious and saying, hey, we'll go ahead and cancel the Phillies game too, and let's run more tests and make sure that they're clear so that, we don't end up having to cancel them for, they don't have an outbreak. So I think it's strange times, but
I know. I would have used the example of an injury, comparing that to the virus, because we're talking about something that spreads, right? The injuries don't spread. You lose one guy off an injury, it's not like, well, the whole Astros bullpen's gonna come down with an injury, right? It's not something that spreads, right? It's a little different. I mean, we just have to, I guess take it day by day and hope that this thing doesn't, force any teams to, forfeit any games, or, this could really have a domino effect, right? Because now we're talking, they only gave it 66 days. Now we're talking about double headers being played, no off days. Like, there's very few off days in this thing. So, it gets a little dicey, but, hopefully baseball can control it, because they had, the sad part about all this is they had such a long time to really implement a good system, right? And we're seeing MLS, we're seeing hockey do 4,000 plus tests and not one positive result coming back. We're looking at the NBA bubble. Very few positive tests have come back. So you have these other 3 sports that went into this bubble, and baseball decided to opt out of that bubble and go a different route. And, we're kind of seeing the difference, right? It may not be a big difference, but we're seeing a difference. Another thing to think about. Another thing to think about is, to keep in mind is, these players, these teams are traveling in and out of states. All it takes is for one governor, mayor, to say, hey, let's shut down traveling, then what do you do? You know what I mean?
Well,
So I think
Toronto, right?
that's something to really, that baseball needs to think about right now and start implementing a plan. Well, what happens if that's the case, right? What do you
Right.
do then? So, you know,
Well, that's the
we'll see.
situation the Blue Jays are in, right?
Right,
The Blue Jays, the Canadian government said they're not going to allow travel in from the U.S., so they had to move to Buffalo.
right.
So,
Yep.
I think there's a lot of contingency plans out there. I'm sure that they're working through it, but there's a part of me that says, look, it, we got to live, right? We got to live somehow. And you're right. It is different. It's not exactly like an injury in that it doesn't spread, an injury doesn't spread, but there are similarities. And as far as days off and a compressed schedule, well, the Marlins and the Orioles and the Yankees and the Phillies are getting a day off. It's today. And they'll fill a day off later on. And with the schedule being such that you only play kind of your region, it makes doubleheaders much easier to do. So the Yankees and Phillies are 2 hours apart, right? It's not a big deal. The Orioles and Marlins is a little bit further, but for the most part, those games will be a little bit easier to make up. So it's very interesting. I certainly hope that they don't have a larger outbreak. I think so long as you don't have an entire roster swapped out, then I think things are going to be okay. I hold out hope that things are going to be okay. And I also think that the players are, and we'll talk about other sports as well, but I think baseball players are taking it pretty seriously, right? Apparently the fines are quite hefty if you violate some safety protocols. We saw a manager and an umpire get into an argument, and before they got into an argument, they both put their masks on, and they didn't get nose to nose, right? They kept, I don't know if it was 6 feet, but they certainly did keep some distance between them. So I feel like the baseball players are taking it seriously, and I think that's going to help. Players in other sports don't seem to be taking it as seriously, right? Like,
Right.
I don't know, like the NBA, for example,
Right. Yeah.
right? Where we got a guy who left the bubble to go to a funeral, and ended up at a strip joint.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not going to take it seriously, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for everybody. But as far as MLB goes, I do feel like they're taking it seriously, so it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that I noticed, and I think it was in I can't remember if it was on Thursday night in the Yankees and Nationals game or the Dodgers and Giants game. I can't remember when it was. It was either one of those two games or it was the Mets game, because I remember it was I can't remember. But when the catcher caught a ball in the dirt and went like this to give the ball to the umpire pointed towards the dugout, towards the first base dugout, and kind of saying like, no, you got to go ahead and throw that ball away. And that happened early. That was like in the first inning. And then as the game went on, the umpire later on was taking the ball from the catcher and throwing it himself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I thought that's the one thing that stood out to me over this weekend. Other than that, it kind of felt like, normal baseball, I guess.
I think MLB has to remind people that you got to follow the safety protocol as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
So, the umpire was following the safety protocol in the first inning, and then as the game went on, he just went back to his old ways, right? That's all it is. He's just going back to the old way of doing things. And I'm sure MLB is going to have to send little reminders out to tell people, hey, don't forget to, let's minimize contact. Did you see Rizzo
So
providing hand sanitizer to a
on
guy who
first
got a base
base,
hit?
yeah, I seen that. So
See,
for the first time
players are
since
looking
like,
out for each other.
yeah, that's true. So for the first time since like the 1950s, we don't have a 3-0 team after the first weekend of baseball. Everybody's either 1-2 or 2-1. Well,
Wow.
I think the Dodgers are 2-2, I believe,
Dodgers and
because they
Giants, yeah,
played
they've played
four.
4 games already.
Yeah. So
Hmm, that's interesting.
then you
I
got teams
wonder.
like the Tigers, the Orioles, who we thought weren't going to be any good. They're 2-1.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Kansas City sucks as bad as we thought. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who looks really good. Minnesota. I mean, they're crushing baseballs.
Yeah,
That
yeah. Cruz.
it looks like they're. It looks like they have the attitude of we're going to score 10 runs. How many can you score?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Overreaction Monday. The Twins are going to break the record for runs scored in any season, not even prorated. They're going to break it in 60 games. They're going to do what the best team did in 162.
I wonder why we don't overreact to baseball after the first, like after the opening weekend, the way we overreact about football the Monday after.
Well, because in football, we've got. Sorry, there's a crazy catch. Oh, it's so funny sometimes to see major leaguers struggle with something simple, right? So there was just a pop
Right,
up in foul territory on the first base side, and the Padres first baseman did not catch it because he lost it in the sun, right? Very human thing, right?
right.
Um, well, the reason we don't overreact in baseball is because, I mean, yeah. So after the weekend, what are you going to do? You, you don't have anything to talk about because you already have another game the next day, right? So here we
Yep,
are Monday and they're already playing again. So whereas in the NFL, you got a week to talk about it and think about it and
right.
chew on the result
You,
from Sunday.
after talking about all of this, I really hope the NFL's like really paying attention, right? Like, don't do this to us football fans, right? Because football is the more popular sport than the four major sports, I would say. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
just I'm taking a guess, right? I really hope they have a plan and kind of, like they've had the most time to think about
Right.
all this, plan, prepare, um, you know, take little bits and pieces from all these other sports, what to do, what not to do. I really hope they prepare because, I remember they said something that they're willing to push back the Super Bowl as far as March. So, being a sport that you play once a week, I mean, they really have an opportunity to really nail this, to get it right. And what I mean by that is just proper protocol, proper procedures, and just,
And really,
minimize damage.
yeah, they are in a great position, right? Because you're right. They get to watch how hockey's doing it, how the NBA is doing it, how MLB is doing it, how the WNBA is doing it, the
Yeah,
MLS, the soccer leagues over in Europe. I mean, they're really getting a very good view of how does this work, right? And they're getting different examples. Baseball, where teams are traveling, but in a tight region. NBA, where all the teams are in one place. Same thing. NHL, that's got 2 regional sites. It's very interesting or very advantageous for them to really study how other people how other leagues are handling it.
yeah.
I think it's gonna be a learning process for everyone everywhere, right? Like it's gonna be a learning process. And even for the MLB, it's going to be a learning process for them as the season goes on.
The thing with football, with the NFL, being that basketball will be over with, right? Of
Pretty
course,
much.
the NFL rosters are a little bigger, but I mean, they could potentially take over
The
Florida
bubble.
here. Yeah, do a bubble in Florida. You're gonna have these players out of Florida by the time football is about to start, right? And if you're willing to go further out into next year, into March, right, you can push back the league start date a month, let's say, right? And you can kind of, play it that way, or you can set up two bubble sites, one on the West Coast for the West Coast teams, maybe split a couple of Central and North or South and North teams to the West Coast and a couple to the East. And you
Yeah.
can have two bubble sites. I mean, they could really nail it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Again, if we talk about this stuff enough, you and I come up with some really great ideas, right? And
Right.
the NFL, again, hit me up. You can catch the Positive Sports Podcast on YouTube. You can hit me up on Twitter at eMontana21. You can email the show, positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. They can get a hold of you on Twitter at BrooklynGaucho1. Here's my brilliant idea at NFL. Hit me up. There are states that don't have a lot of cases, right? So out west, why not have a regional hub in Montana? Play at the University of Montana. They've got a normal sized stadium, right? On the East Coast, play in Virginia. Play at the University of Virginia, right? Because you're only playing once a week.
Right.
So you can, I mean, there are places in states that don't have a whole lot of cases, right? Oklahoma doesn't have a lot of cases. Nebraska doesn't have a lot of cases. Minnesota now does. Nevada doesn't have a ton of cases. There are a lot of states that don't have a lot of cases. So make regional hubs. You can make 4. You can make 4 regional hubs. Heck, you could probably make 6 regional hubs in places that are not high risk. What's the big deal? You don't have fans anyway.
Right.
Right? Who cares if the Jets are playing in Delaware? Ain't no fans going to be there anyway. Right? Yeah. So you may as well, and you make bubbles in those places. Heck, if you make a in the NFL, you've got 32 teams, right? Yep. Let's say you go crazy and you make 8 14 bubbles, right? And you put 2 bubbles close together. So really, it's kind of like an 18 bubble. So call it 4 bubbles of 8 teams. I mean, you could contain this thing with nothing, because the problem with having them do the NFL, you can't have them do it the Major League Baseball way, because the rosters are too big, right? Baseball's traveling 25, 30 guys. It's a little bit more manageable than traveling 55 guys in the NFL, right? So you run more risk. And if you put them in a bubble in a place like Orlando, well, it's harder to keep 55 guys from going to the Magic Island strip club to eat chicken wings than it is, if you have them in South Dakota. It's just common sense.
No, yeah, I agree.
So, and the one thing I've noticed, I don't know if you saw it, but the NFL's come out and said that there will be serious consequences if you violate the bubble rules, if they do the bubble, right? So, including players possibly losing pay, because that's a direct reflection on what they've seen in the NBA, right? Lou Williams or whoever it was going to the funeral and then going out to a strip club and whatnot. So the NFL is learning from the other leagues and already starting to kind of tighten up the ship.
NFL, if the NFL does a bubble, man, you know how many players are going to be fucking high as a kite in that bubble because they can't get suspended for marijuana now.
That's right.
That's going to be the spot to be, man.
Yeah.
All they need is one connect that can deliver the goods.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I tell you, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the deal with Lou Williams, man. I mean, it's funny, but that was such a bonehead. Like, what was it? 2 for Tuesday? Did they have like a fucking lemon pepper special? that night that you had to go
50
get
cent wings,
wings,
bro.
50-cent wings. I mean, the whole thing is funny to me, but I
Right.
mean, you got to be a little smart about it. You know what I mean?
Well, and the other thing too, it's like he basically got ratted out by his boy, right? Didn't one of his boys post a picture, and that's how they found out?
I think it was it was a DJ, Harlow. I don't know what he is. I think he's a DJ or something. I don't know exactly what his title is or what he
And
does,
here's
but
here's
yeah.
my other question: who the hell eats at a strip club?
You ever had strip club food?
No, and I don't think I ever want to.
It's not. I guess it depends who the cook is. I don't know. It's not that bad. I've
You've
had.
eaten at a strip club?
Yes.
I've drank at a strip club, but I've never eaten.
Yeah, I've eaten at a strip club. Absolutely.
Doesn't that just sound like a health code violation? You got people walking around naked and you're eating food. Doesn't that just
Hey,
sound like
I've done it a bunch of times, and I have never gotten sick. And look where we are today. Fucking COVID is going around.
you think you think your immune system is just built up from eating at the strip joint? You're not going to get COVID.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
You're walking
You know,
around with
there.
no mask
Look,
on. You're walking around with no mask on. Your wife's like, "Honey, put on a mask. You don't want to catch COVID." Like, I've eaten at strip clubs. I'm gonna
that's
be
right.
okay.
That's right. I mean, seriously, why would you want to go to a strip club now, right? Like, why would you even want to go to a strip club now, right? Like, there's more sweaty asses there than they are at an NBA game, right?
Why wouldn't you want
Like,
to go to a strip club now?
well, I'm just saying, with like COVID going around, that's probably the last place I would want to go,
Yeah. I
right? I mean, me,
yeah,
at
but
least
look,
me personally.
yeah, but look, Lou Williams is willing to eat at a strip joint. Surely he's not going to be afraid of some sweat. He's willing to eat the food, for crying out loud. You shouldn't be afraid to go to a strip club either, except for the fact that your wife would kick your ass. You shouldn't be afraid either because you've eaten strip club food. It can't be any worse than just sitting there watching girls shake their ass.
True. Well, in all fairness, to his defense, the wings are named after him. Maybe they were rolling out these new wings, and he had to be there to,
For the grand
um,
opening,
you
the
know, to
grand unveil.
sample them and make sure that they passed the test so that they can be offered as from the buffet area to the
Oh my
strip
God.
club employees.
Dude, the thought of a buffet at a strip joint has got to be the most. I am not a germaphobe, but that would freak me out.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. The one strip club that I went to that I ate from, it happened to be the wings. Like the wings were the best thing on the menu. So I kind of sympathize. I kind of, I can relate to Lou Will. You get hungry after a funeral, you gotta eat something. You got some wings named after you.
Bro, tell me,
I can't be 100% mad at him.
bro, was it a buffet of wings?
Yeah,
Dude,
free
ain't nothing
food,
killing
bro.
you. You can walk around and just start licking people. You ain't getting COVID, bro. You ain't getting COVID.
Yeah. We're not licking nobody at no strip club.
I mean, dude, you've eaten from a buffet at a strip joint. You can do whatever you want. You can take off all your clothes and they can stick you in a vat of COVID and you're not going to get it.
Well, it's no different than eating from a buffet somewhere else. You've eaten from a buffet before where people have gone up and down that buffet line.
Dude, there's no one walking around naked at the Golden Corral.
The strippers are not going to the buffet. They're getting better food back there.
You don't know that. Hey, look, what happened to there's a reason people put the sign on the door that says no shirt, no shoes, no service. It's a health code violation. How I've heard of food at a strip joint. I've never personally been in a strip joint that had food because
Hmm.
I'm a classy guy. And I certainly would never eat at a strip joint. It just seems ridiculous to me. And the fact that you have, dude, seriously, if I were you and I had eaten from a buffet at a strip joint, I'd be walking around. I'd be going to the beach. I'd be one of those fuckers at the beach. I'd be like, COVID, come get me. You ain't. I'm telling you. If you got naked and they dipped you in a vat of COVID, all of the COVID germs would die and you would be okay because you've eaten from a buffet at a strip joint.
I don't see any issues with it.
Dude, that's the vaccine. If you don't get sick from eating at a buffet at a strip joint, you've got the antibody for COVID. You're not getting COVID, bro.
Then I'm good. You better go. You better go to that strip club that Lou Will went to in Atlanta.
You see guys now. There's guys that are watching this. There's guys that are going to watch this episode. And they're going to tell their girlfriends or their wives, "Hey, baby, I heard that if you don't get sick at the buffet at a strip joint, you ain't going to get COVID. So I'll see you later. Peace out." And you got any ones to help me out?
I think this is a very interesting topic. I think we're gonna have to do a poll on our Twitter at Positive Sports 6. Have you ever eaten off the buffet line at a strip club? Yeah. I'm very interested to know what the numbers are here. What the numbers are for this.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, first of all, you have to go to a strip joint, but I mean. Yeah, I would never eat at a strip joint. The only reason I drink alcohol is because I assume that the alcohol will kill whatever germs I'm getting, in the air. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Man, it's I can't believe you went to a strip club, really, to be honest with you. Like, right? I mean, after all this.
Hey, are they letting like hoes in the bubble? Because these guys, I mean, it can be stressful when you're making a run at the playoffs.
I mean, if you pay security the right amount of money, maybe.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like the Super Bowl where there's just a whole bunch of chicks, a whole bunch of hoes and strippers and hookers going down to Orlando trying to get in the bubble.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, right?
It's good business. Hey, so what is going back to baseball? What is your overreaction for the first weekend of the season? Overreaction Monday for baseball. What do you got?
Oh shit! I don't have one, Ed. I really don't have one. I'm not overreacting on. I don't think have I overreacted on anything? I'm trying to think back to like our text messages with Jay, but I can't think of anything.
Well, my overreaction is the Twins are going to break the runs record in 60 games. They're going to break the full season record in 60 games because those guys are mashing. They're going to be fun to watch.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they will be. I mean, yeah. They should be fun to watch.
It's a shame they don't get to go to Colorado, right? Because they're in the Central, Colorado's in the West. It'd be good if they were in the West and had to go play Colorado. They'd score 20 runs a game while up there. It'd be a good time. Man. What else? So the NBA is about to start. The MVP voting is going to be based on the first 70 games of the season or however many games they played.
Right.
What do you think about that? It's like, to me, like, that's dumb. You're playing more regular season now. Why not count it?
Well, I'm assuming because they already played 70 games or whatever it was. So that's the majority of the season right there.
Well, no, it is. But why wouldn't you count these last 8 games? I mean,
because look who's in the MVP race.
You're right. There's only 2 guys that are really in the MVP race, right? It's the Greek Freak and LeBron. But what if LeBron completely lays an egg here in these 8 games, and the Greek Freak just knocks it out of the park?
Well, I personally think
Pretty close.
the Greek Freak was ahead of LeBron at the time.
I hear
So
arguments both
I don't
ways.
have an issue with it. Huh?
I've heard the argument both ways about who was ahead. I just think it's dumb. Like, why would you put that limitation on the MVP voting? Like, what? Okay, here's my question: what benefit is there to doing it that way, as opposed to looking at the entire regular season the way they do every other year? Like, why? Can you give me
the only reason that
you eat from a buffet at a strip joint. Surely you have a good reason as to why they would do something this dumb.
I don't think it's dumb. I mean, the majority of the season has already been played, so
The fact that you don't think
that's
it's
enough.
dumb tells me
That's enough data.
buffet at a strip joint.
Yeah, of course. Yes, that is correct.
You're never living that down.
I'm a legend.
The fact that you're still alive is legendary.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm the strip club buffet eating legend.
Yeah, that's fucking incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, the majority of the season has been played already. You got it's numbers enough to, you're not playing the whole league. You're just playing the playoff teams now. So, it's whatever. I don't care really.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not a problem. I just don't understand why you would do it. Right? It seems dumb. Like,
Yeah.
It's like the MLB saying we'll take the last 100 games from last year and add them on to the 60 games from this year, and that'll be your MVP calculation for 2020. It's dumb stuff.
Well, that would be wrong.
Yeah. Well. What else you got?
I don't have much of anything else.
Do you think the NFL will do the bubble thing or not?
If they're smart about it, yeah. I mean, you got to do it at this point. I think
the bubble thing's got to be better than not doing it.
We've seen what works or what's working. You know what I mean? Or what's working better than not doing it.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like, the baseball way is not failing. It's just a small outbreak. I mean, it can happen anywhere. Again, with this thing being so contagious, I just find it hard to believe that you're going to make it through with no problem. Someone's going to get it somewhere.
Well, here's the thing, Ed, that you have to contain it, right? And less travel means you're containing it. A bubble means you're containing it. And although it's a small outbreak in baseball, it's still an outbreak. And yeah, it may seem small right now, but all it takes is for this to happen, for it to keep, dominoes to fall.
Here's my question. By containing it in a bubble, if somehow it got into the bubble, don't you run a higher risk of more teams getting it? So in the baseball situation, we just have 2 teams that are potentially affected. If you keep everyone in the bubble, don't you have the potential to have it on 4, 5, 6, 8 teams? Right? That's the other issue, because especially in the NBA where the guys are good friends, across teams, you could end up with a real issue. You could get more teams contaminated.
Yeah, but I think the players I think they're getting tested pretty frequently, right? So that's a huge plus. Here's another thing, Ed, which I think is very important that we can look at the positive side, right, for baseball is this, and I think you'll agree with me, is that I believe you and I firsthand have experienced, um, you know, what it is like for others to um, possibly have this virus, right, and not feel any symptoms, right? Now, the same way you can not feel symptoms and have the virus, you can feel the symptoms and not have the virus. And I think we've experienced both.
Right.
So I think that's the one positive side, right? Yes, the Marlins, 14 people came up positive, but that doesn't mean that they're running 105 fever, that their immune system is so low. At the end of the day, these are athletes that take care of themselves, that are in way better shape than what we are, people that we know are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the one positive side of all this, right? Yes, there are positive tests, but that doesn't mean that these players are on the verge of fucking dying, of being severely sick, and they're having trouble breathing. So I think that's
Well,
something good that we can take away from all this, and maybe
and the
look forward as to, well, this is just a bump on the road.
yeah, and the Marlins did take 2 out of 3 from the Phillies.
That is even a bigger positive.
So it just goes to prove you can have COVID and still beat the Phillies.
That's right.
What's going to
That's
happen
right.
to the Phillies when they play a healthy team?
Oh,
I mean, they're going to get smoked. The Phillies
they
may
might as
not
well
win a
not even
game this
show
year.
up.
They may not win another game this year. I mean, unless they play a team with COVID, then they've got a 33% chance of winning a game. Otherwise, they could lose 100 games in a 60-game season. That's how bad they are.
That's how bad they are.
I mean, that's terrible. They lost 2 out of 3 to a team with half the team had COVID. Obviously, the
Unexcusable.
Phillies are, talk about the ultimate jinx, right? You picked them to go to the World Series.
I did.
And they can't beat a COVID-ridden Marlins team. Hey, look, and not only that, we didn't think the Marlins were that good without COVID.
Right.
Now, with COVID, they still lost 2 out of 3. Yeah, the Phillies aren't winning another game this year unless they play someone with COVID, like the Orioles.
Hey, we've done all this talking, and we haven't gotten each other's opinion on Major League Baseball expanding the playoffs in the last minute.
This year, because of the shortened season, everyone's going to be in it until the last 2 weeks, right?
Which is
Now,
fun.
now everyone's going to be in it until the last day, except for the Phillies, who are going to lose 100 games.
Right.
Well, it seemed kind of dumb to do it this season, right? They already, because of the shortened schedule, they already had built-in extra excitement for the playoffs. Now
Right.
they've watered it down so much now that it's going to be like, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, I am. This is another thing that I'm just on the fence about. Like a big part of me really doesn't like it. I'm like a baseball purist, man. Like, keep it simple, keep it stupid, don't overdo it. But now part of me kind of is lighting up to the idea, because this may make teams a little more cautious, taking care of themselves, right? Because now
Right.
they have an incentive to make the playoffs, earn some of that playoff bonus money, right? And
Right.
now you have, when we did the baseball podcast last week, when we did the preview, um, we we know the Yankees, the Dodgers, right? Teams like that, the Astros are going to be in it, right? And then you may have a couple of other teams that, usually wouldn't have a chance. They might have a chance. And now you may have even a few more other teams, right, that we didn't think had a chance, that,
Well,
this gives them an opportunity.
well, the one thing that we don't like, right? Um, the one thing that makes the NCAA basketball tournament so exciting is that you've got, a team that's ranked 62 that can upset the team that's ranked number 3, right? And so
Right.
that disparity and that wide variance of rankings all of a sudden make upsets very exciting. But it's also what makes us dislike some of the, like, you hear people complain about the wild card system in the NFL because you've got a team that wasn't even good enough to win their shitty division, and somehow they make the
Right.
playoffs, they get on a run, they meet teams with injuries at just the right time, and they end up winning the Super Bowl, right? So that's the part that I don't like. It's a little bit different in baseball because you're going to play a series. It's hard to get lucky for one game. If you get lucky for one game, you got to get lucky for 3, right? You got to win 3 out of 5 or whatever. But it still feels a little bit like we're going to make it a bit of a crapshoot where, the Nationals, were the Nationals the best team in baseball last year? I mean, yes and
Towards the
no,
end.
right? Huh?
Towards the end.
Right.
Like the end of the season.
Towards the end, they were certainly very good, but we never really thought of them as the best team in the league, right? We had arguments about the Astros and the Yankees and the Dodgers, but no one really talked about the Nationals didn't even win their division, right? So, and I'm not crapping on the Nationals because, they play within the rules of the system and the system says they're the champs. And I'm fine with that. But now we're watering it down more. So, whereas last year you had a team that wasn't really dominant and they made the playoffs after a rough start, they deserve it. Now we're going to get a little bit further down the line, right? We're going to get teams that are, especially this season, right? We're going to get teams that get hot for 20 games, make the playoffs, and maybe ride that through all the way to the World Series. That's the part that I don't like.
The thing about baseball, right? You look at the teams like the Mets, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, all these really big payroll teams. And when you look back 10 years, 10 seasons, right? The last 10 seasons, I mean, aside from the Astros and the Red Sox, I guess, right? But those are the only 2 really that have won the World Series, right? There's a lot of parity, even though there's not in talent and payroll, there's a lot of parity in baseball. So seeing a team that doesn't have such a big payroll win the World Series, to me is it's going to feel a little bit normal, right? Because we
Right.
have teams, like you said, that get hot the last 20 games, 30 games, whatever the case may be, that get hot and then kind of, ride that wave. Let me ask you a question. Which one do you dislike more? The expanded playoffs or the runner on second starting off extra innings?
The expanded playoffs. For
Really?
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
The runner on second thing, um, we really beat the hell out of bullpens as it is. It becomes a war of attrition if it goes too many innings, and that's no fun to me. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't want the expanded playoffs personally. Hey, can you carry the show for a minute? Because I've got to go piss.
Go piss.
All right, you carry the show.
Have fun. Don't miss the basket.
I won't.
Yo, so if you guys have not checked out our previous episodes, we had a baseball preview last week, Ed and I. Make sure you guys go check it out on YouTube. If you don't want to look at our ugly mugs, you can listen to us on Google Play, iTunes. Make sure you follow my brother on Twitter at eMontana21. You can follow myself, and I on Twitter at Brooklyn Gaucho1. Let us know your thoughts. What you guys think about the start of this baseball season. We definitely love the interaction and the comments from everybody. And so, keep those up. I hope everybody's staying safe during these crazy times. And, we should pull a prank on my brother right here, right? I should just disappear. I would have to time it right, but I should just disappear off the screen. And then when he comes back, I'm not here, and I can say I was taking a piss or taking a shit. But I would have to time that too perfectly. I don't know when he's coming back. So he'll be back. He'll be back here in a minute. But so yeah. hopefully you guys are enjoying this
All right, I'm back.
podcast. I was just telling everybody how I should have just gone off screen myself. You would have came back and I was nowhere to be found, and then you would have been like, what the fuck? But I would have had to time it perfectly.
Let me tell you something. It was one of the few times I wish I had a diaper on. I was to the point where I couldn't see straight. I guess that coffee went right through me. Yeah, the man on second, that doesn't bother me. I think that's kind of cool. Right, the idea is to get to a point of resolution for a game. We absolutely don't want to see ties, right? I don't know how soccer hasn't gotten away from ties yet, because I mean, it's people just hate ties, right?
Right.
And I honestly believe that part of the reason why soccer will never be one of the top 4 sports is because of the tie. I'm convinced, because we absolutely hate it. So anything we can do to kind of get rid of the tie, I'm okay with.
The starting the run on second base in baseball kind of feels like it feels like overtime in college football.
Yes. Yeah, it does kind of feel
Doesn't
like
it?
Yeah, I agree.
Because, I mean, all you need is to lay down a bunt, right? Then you got really 2 chances at a sacrifice fly, and then that runner scores, right?
2 bunts.
Or you can do 2 bunts, yeah.
The suicide squeeze when you get them to third.
Right. Yeah.
But again, those are some of the nuances of the game. And sure, it's easier to score, but at least you're playing the game the way you normally play the game, right? As opposed to soccer that does the penalty kicks, which, you take an aspect of the game that happens, not even once a game. I mean, there's the soccer averages less than 1 penalty kick a game. And, you decide, okay, we'll do 5 of these for each team to decide a winner. So to me, that's ridiculous. It'd be like a field goal kicking contest in football. It's dumb.
Yeah.
So at least this is just a normal progression of the game.
Yeah.
So good stuff. All right, man.
All right, bro.
That's all I got.
Let's wrap up this puppy.
Another podcast in the books. You can, as always, you can catch the video version of our podcast on the YouTubes at youtube.com, Positive Sports Podcast, or you can catch us on various podcast platforms like Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, whatever you choose to use to watch, to listen to podcasts. If they want to get a hold of you, Alex, how do they do that?
On Twitter at Brooklyn Gaucho 1.
And if you want to get a hold of me, you can do so on Twitter as well at eMontana21. And NFL, hit me up. I will give you more brilliant ideas on how to avoid COVID when your season starts. What's up?
What are you gonna watch Roy Jones Jr. against Mike Tyson?
Fuck yeah! Are you kidding me? Hell yeah, I'm gonna watch that. I actually think that's gonna be a good fight.
I'm thinking the same thing.
I'm
a little scared for Roy Jones Jr. But
unless one of them does not take it seriously, if one of them just doesn't take it seriously, and by one of them I mean Roy Jones, because I think Mike Tyson will take it seriously. Then I think it's so. If Roy Jones is, how old is Roy? He's 51. Mike Tyson's 50. Roy Jones fought as high as heavyweight. He's not a true heavyweight, but he fought up there.
If Mike Tyson takes this seriously, he's gonna seriously kill Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah, I think Roy Jones has got to take it seriously. if he doesn't take it seriously, it's going to be a shit show. But if he does, it's going to be, I think it'll be entertaining. Because I think, again, I don't know this for sure, but if I had to guess, I would guess Roy Jones has a speed advantage over Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson very obviously has a power advantage over Roy Jones.
I don't know. I see some videos of Mike Tyson, like recent videos of him, sparring, and he looks pretty fucking fast.
Yeah, Roy Jones is lightning quick. So, yeah, I'm in to watch it for sure.
Yeah. What are we looking forward to this week? What is there to look forward to?
Well, the start of the NBA, right?
That's right. The
NBA started. They've been doing all these exhibition games and whatnot in the bubble.
Hockey.
Huh?
And
hockey at the end of the week, yeah. And there's always fights. The UFC is cruising. The UFC is really, they've been the model. And not only have they been the model, but they've moved their operations around. So they did it in Florida, they did it in Vegas, they've done it in Abu Dhabi. There are fighters that have fought at multiple locations. They each card has 24 fighters at least, and they've done 4 cards at each, so they've done 12 cards, 12 times 24. They've done 284 fighters. 288 fighters. I mean, that's a lot, plus cornermen and stuff. They've swapped out commentating crews, and they've had very few cases.
Well, in all fairness, I mean, their events are much smaller than a baseball game and all that stuff.
In terms of staffing and participants, yeah. Well, it'll be comparable to basketball. Basketball has 20. They'll have 24 guys on 2 teams. Granted,
you got to take into account the trainers and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take into account participants, right? Hockey and basketball will be the closest to the UFC. The difference is hockey and basketball teams have to be there the entire time, whereas fighters, they rotate them in. So the guy that fights on the first fight of the night, he's not in the building at the same time as the guy who is on the 5th fight of the night and after, right? By that point, he's probably gone. So that's the big difference, and that helps. So, but they've done a great job. For all the criticism he took, wanting to be first and whatnot, they've really done a good job, I think. Very few cases. Yeah. The product's been excellent, so you can't complain about that. All right, now we're gonna wrap. Now we're gonna wrap up, so you can go.
Like a condom.
So you can go watch the baseball games that you weren't gonna watch because there were no fans.
Look, you better do your homework, and by the next podcast, I want to hear a clip of me saying I'm not going to watch any sports.
Hey, let me ask you a question. When you have the game on, but you have to run to the bathroom, do you put a cardboard cutout of yourself on the couch until you come back?
I may have to start doing that to make it feel normal.
That's right. So it feels like there's someone actually watching the TV. That way, That way your wife doesn't come in and change the channel. I thought you were gone. What are you talking about? There's a cardboard cutout of me sitting right there. All righty, man. That sounds good. I'm going to let you go. It's been another wonderful episode of the Positive Sports Podcast. As always, folks, thank you very much for listening, liking, subscribing, and commenting, whatever it is that you do to interact with us. We appreciate it greatly. And until next week, stay out of the buffet line at the strip club. And more importantly, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.
Peace.